Hello, dear ones. Father Peter John coming to you from the woods at All Saints Orthodox Church in Bloomington, Indiana. Christ is in our midst. Today, the church celebrates Saints Zenobius and Zenobia. And probably, I'm going to guess most of us haven't spent a whole lot of time studying their life or their story. We probably don't have friends named Zenobius and Zenobia. So I wanted to take the opportunity today to share a little bit about these saints that may just become new friends to you. Saints Zenobius and Zenobia were brought up in a faithful Christian home, and we're told that their parents were relatively well-to-do. They raised their children to be godly and devout. And when the children became older and the parents passed away and this inheritance was left to them, they decided that they wanted to give the money away to the poor and to live a life of devotion to Christ and the church. And so that's what they did. We don't know a whole lot about Zenobia. She comes into the story a little bit later. But Zenobius was made bishop of Aegea. And it was a largely pagan city. I mean, their paganism was rampant, of course, at this time in history in the 3rd century. And it was largely illegal to be Christian. And once in a while, an emperor would decide that he wanted to persecute the Christians. It wasn't solid 300 years or 250 years of persecution. There were these pockets of persecution. Well, this is one of these times when Bishop Zenobius was evangelizing freely, fervently, spreading the gospel in Aegea, and the pagans didn't always take kindly to it. Well, the Emperor Diocletian decided that he was going to persecute the Christians, and the first person arrested was Saint Zenobius, the bishop. He was questioned by the governor, and he answered. I love the governor basically said, I'm not going to take a lot of time with you. You're either going to deny Christ and save your life, or you're going to refuse to deny Christ and you're going to die. And I love what Zenobius said. He said, life without Christ in this present life is death. So he was condemned to torture and crucifixion. And while he was hanging on his cross, his sister Zenobia saw him. And she sought to get him freed. And so she ran to the governor and interceded on his behalf. The governor said, are you too a Christian? And she said, I am. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. And so she, in trying to advocate for her brother, also then was condemned to death and suffered martyrdom together with her brother. Saints Zenobius and Zenobia. It really gives us pause to think that the difficulty that they faced in preaching Christ, in speaking about Christ, in teaching about Christ, in a society that was completely hostile to the idea of the gospel, of there being one God, because it was a pagan culture where they worshipped many, many gods. And so it was threatening to people, it was threatening to the pagan priests, it was threatening to the emperor that the Christians would limit themselves to this one God that was not the emperor. So anyway, that's out of fear. All of these horrific things were done to Christians throughout in particular the first 3 centuries of the church. Our prayer is that Saints Zenobius and Zenobia will intercede with Christ for us on our behalf, that our faith may be strong, it may be unshakable, that we may be filled with the Holy Spirit, that we may be lights in a dark world, that we may be worthy to be called Christians, and that someday we may be made worthy of eternal blessedness with the Lord and his saints. Christ is in our midst. He is and ever shall be.